Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Program Yourself Thin podcast. Today, we're talking about, can you be hypnotized to lose weight? One of the most common questions I get asked, and people are curious about it, right? Because it sounds so cool. Like it'd be so easy way to lose weight. And the quick answer without even knowing you is yes, you can be hypnotized to lose weight because you've been hypnotized to be overweight. What is controlling your weight primarily is hypnosis. You have been programmed your entire life primarily by the food companies and diet industry to be overweight. And you've been programmed hypnotically, meaning that your subconscious mind has been programmed to keep you overweight. So, to understand how hypnosis works, we need to understand that there's a conscious and a subconscious mind. And your conscious mind is the logical, rational part of your brain that knows what you should do to lose weight, why you want to lose weight, tries to get you to do it. That's where your willpower is at. Your subconscious part of your mind is the part of you that runs all your habitual thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. And so it is this part of your mind, the part that runs your habitual behaviors primarily, that is keeping you at the weight that you're at. Because if you notice that you pretty much maintain the same weight on near autopilot, right? Unless you're really like focusing on your eating. If you're not, if you're just living your life, your weight pretty much stays around the same level. It might go up a little bit year after year, but it basically stays about the same level. And this is because your behaviors have been programmed and they run on autopilot. So the easiest way to recognize this is to look at your toothbrushing habit. You brush your teeth at the same times every day, and you do that every single day in the same way. Now, it's pretty much automatic. You don't really think about it, you just do it. And this is very much what your eating behaviors are like. And there's other behaviors that impact your weight as well, but eating's the big one. And you have been programmed your whole life to crave certain foods, to overeat, to think about food constantly, and it has caused your weight to be higher than you want it to be. So, in my opinion, hypnosis is the only way that you could ever truly change your weight. Because at this moment, if you're overweight and have been for a while, you have been programmed to be overweight. And the diets rely on the method where you use your conscious mind to fight against your subconscious programming to try to get your weight down. And you've all experienced this, and you probably all succeeded for a little while. That when you're really focused and motivated and really micromanaging every little thing you're doing, you can get your weight down for a little while. And then you go back to normal and your weight goes back up. Well, that normal is your programmed behaviors, your programmed subconscious mind. And so where hypnosis is different is that we are using hypnosis to reprogram your subconscious mind with thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that get you to your goal weight and then keep you there on near autopilot. And this is the real difference between hypnosis, the hypnotic approach, and a diet approach. It's really built for the long term, and it works with your brain as it's designed, because ultimately your conscious mind, which is your prefrontal cortex, is about 10% of your brain. It's not up to the task. It's not nearly powerful enough to overcome your subconscious mind. So instead of trying to fight against your subconscious mind, hypnosis works with your subconscious mind to help you change the thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that allow you to get to your goal weight and then stay there. So I hope that makes sense. And if you want to go deeper and experience hypnosis firsthand, click the link in my bio. Go get the free hypnosis session that I made for you. Go watch the video I made for you, and it'll explain how to program your subconscious mind so that you can be thin and healthy for the rest of your life. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them. That's what I'm here for. Get this going. Make sure everything's working right. I just got started with this one. Didn't even check if everything is running. All right, everything's running. Good. So everyone's having a nice day. And what's up, Karen? How's it going? Nice to see you. Tossy Coffee says, nice background. Yeah, people like the background. This is a picture I bought. It is a piece of art that I can never remember the name of it. Some Bible quote, I feel like. John something or something's. But was not my main motivation to get it. I just liked how it looked. Just funny. We had different. I don't know if I can change backgrounds on TikTok. Can I change backgrounds? I was messing around with. I do a lot of Zoom coaching calls, and found out yesterday you can change the background. I know, probably old hat to a lot of you, but I did not know that. So I don't know if I can change the background on this one on TikTok here. It's kind of cool. I was like, it was nice being at the beach. It'd be fun to do that. See what settings are. Yeah, I don't know. It was kind of fun though. I'll have to look it up. I won't waste my time here doing that. Even though I'm sure you can do it easily. But anyways, yeah. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them. Anything about weight loss, I'm here to help you all out. I'm definitely been recently reading this book, The Beauty Myth. If you have not read this book, which you probably haven't, I don't know. I'd never heard of it, which doesn't mean anything, but it was back written in the 90s. But a huge eye opener, especially if you're a woman, a lady at any age in America. I think it's a great book to read, and I think it puts a lot of context onto things, and it helps me out because it does get to the point where one of the main things that's been really making me think is really the goal weight thing. I'm always thinking about goal weights because I've struggled with that in my career, helping people to define their goal weight. It's always kind of a bigger challenge than you may think, and it's one of those things that you think what is going on in the throat? It's one of those things that you think but when you really think about it, you don't really know. Which I'll give you an example of that. I was working with someone in Australia, and I was trying to explain a Tootsie Roll to him. There you go. There's an example of what I'm talking about. Go ahead and try and explain a Tootsie Roll to someone who doesn't know what one is. Good luck. It's, you know what it is, but you can't explain it, I bet. So anyways, your goal weight is probably like this, where you have a goal weight that you've been saying for your whole life, but when you really think about it and focus and reflect on it, you may find that you do not have a real clear idea of what your goal weight is. And more importantly, you don't know why. You don't really know why you want to weigh what you want to weigh. It's some vague idea that you've been saying for a long time. And this is really important because, as you can imagine, changing your weight takes a lot of work and effort. So if you don't have a real clear sense of what you want to weigh and why you want to weigh it, you're most likely not going to have the motivation to make it happen. And I think this is the core reason why most people are not able to lose weight. I think there's a lot of other reasons too, by the way, but I think that's the big starting point, is that most people don't have a real compelling reason why they want to weigh what they say they want to weigh. So anyways, that book has helped me think about that. Goalie says, I want to be hypnotized to lose weight. Yeah. Now, I didn't really go into all the details of how to hypnotize yourself to lose weight. And unfortunately, it's because it's probably not what you think. I mean, again, the average person thinks of getting hypnotized to lose weight as just being easy. I'll just listen to a session. It'll change all the stuff in here and I'll lose weight. And of course, anything worthwhile is never that easy. So my belief, my sense of how to use hypnosis to lose weight is a more comprehensive approach where, yes, I do have hypnosis sessions to support your weight mastery, but the bigger part of the process is you filling out and creating your own weight mastery blueprints, which are kind of your roadmaps that you follow, mindset, lifestyle, and eating blueprints, and learning how to run your own mind. So you could call it self-hypnosis. I call it self-hypnotic programming, where you learn how to run your own mind hypnotically. And the thing is, it's really easy. Like, you already do it. You're already running your mind hypnotically. You're not a conscious, logical person. And I think that's the first thing you got to recognize that will help you realize why you've been struggling to lose weight. You've been trying to run your mind consciously, meaning you have a bunch of ideas about what you should do to lose weight, but you have no idea how to install those ideas into your mind so that you actually follow and do them. So you're stuck in this trap where you have lots of ideas about what you should do and very little ability to get yourself to do it. And the only tool you have to get yourself to do it is willpower. And that is a conscious mind process. And you're not built to use your conscious mind to control, pattern-based behaviors. So it is not only is hypnosis, in my opinion, the only way you would ever have a chance of truly being able to change your weight. But it's important to understand that it's self-hypnosis specifically. And of course, technically, you're self-hypnotizing yourself to be overweight. You just don't realize it. But anyways. And Komodo Dragon, how's it going? How are you? I'm doing great. I'm doing really great. Super duper great. The weather's being nice, and my shoulder, if you didn't know, I got shoulder surgery about 6-7 months ago, and it's finally starting to come together. I've started getting back into my body, and I'm stretching more, feeling flexible. I've started doing some resistance training, and that's feeling awesome, feeling strong, feeling good, and just the beginning of it. So I'm super duper excited. And yeah, and then the weather's starting to turn, so get outside more, thank goodness. It's been a hibernated winter. One of the big reasons is I wasn't skiing or snowboarding this year because of my shoulder. So that really made things a lot harder than they need to be. But anyways, things are turning around, playing basketball again, shoulders feeling good. So yeah, things are going great for me. Thank you for asking. Karen says, do you think we need a certain amount of calories a day or it slows metabolism? I mean, you definitely need a certain amount of calories a day, right? Um, I think you're asking if you go to too many calories, will you go to the whole starvation mode thing? Is that what you're asking? Because obviously we need a certain amount of calories a day. It was interesting too. And that book I was just reading. Now, listen, I want to be clear. Sometimes I mention these books and I really like them. I don't want to mention that I like everything in the book or I believe everything in the book. This book was written back in 91, and I don't know if everything that's mentioned there is accurate or would hold up the specifics of some of the information. But I just want to make that clear because I never want to sometimes I don't want to mention the books I'm reading, especially some books that may be a little more controversial in some ways, but I'm not saying everything in that book is perfect. I'm not sure. But anyways, one of the points of it being that, severe calorie restriction. And I know this framing is so interesting because it's basically semi-starvation, and it's, I don't know, maybe the diets are evolving a little bit. I think they've tried to get away from calories a little bit. I mean, that's what keto kind of does. It's trying to take your focus out of calories and put it on carbs and just, carnivore, just eat as much meat as you want. But calories are always there and they are important for weight loss. But a lot of the traditional diets of the 80s and 90s that we're steeped in really had low calorie counts. And those low calorie counts create lots of problems. And I know a lot of people will look at this physiological starvation state, but I think the more valuable thing to look at is the psychological starvation state, semi-starvation state. And I think the semi-starvation state psychologically is the bigger issue because it's not that you keep consuming 500 calories a day. Let's just go to the ridiculousness, the HCG diet. You do 500 calories a day and you inject yourself with a hormone that pregnant women have. Now, it's not the hormone so much as the 500 calories a day doing the work here, okay? But 500 calories a day, you're not going to be on long. So it's not that you get to 500 calories a day and your body magically goes into some mode where it stops losing weight. And we know this because you can look at famine situations throughout history, and without exception, everyone loses weight. So the starvation mode within a food abundant environment is a different situation, where it's more psychologically, you get in a starvation mode where you get obsessed with food and you ultimately end up eating more. So it's not that you consistently keep your weight. I mean, again, there's a broken metabolism concept, but that is such an outlier thing. So the vast majority of people, when they hit a starvation state, you should think of it more psychologically, and they ultimately end up eating more than they think they're eating. And then they're not losing weight. I think that's a more effective way to look at it, because the idea that your body can just somehow magically not reduce mass when you reduce the calories over time there's no, I've never seen any scientific basis for that. So if you know all about that, please forward it to me. Please let me know the study where it shows people that have reduced calorie consumption over a long period of time who have not reduced mass. And I will change my tune. But I have not seen that yet. So I think starvation mode is more in the modern society when you're in a food abundant environment and you start way restricting calories way down low. I think usually what's happening is your brain gets so warped that you start ultimately end up eating more than you realize you're eating. And you wonder why you're not losing weight. But that's what I think. if that's even what you meant. So I probably projected a lot onto that question. But yeah, if anyone's got any questions. Okay, I see Karen says, think I'm going too low, not on purpose, just why eat more if you're not hungry? Um, yeah, I mean, I get it if you're not hungry, but and again, it's up to each person. I mean, everyone gets to decide what they're going to weigh, but I would suggest that you make your goal weight. Again, the goal weight should be the weight that gives you the best quality of life. The best quality of life is not the skinniest body. It could be. It could be like for some people, but the skinniest body does not automatically give you the best quality of life. We know this for a fact. You all know this to some degree, I would hope. So, yeah, if you're not hungry, you know what I mean? Like it's interesting. You get to figure out what's your best weight. Where are you at your happiest? Where are you at your best? So I don't if you're really listening to your body, I think it's hard to go too low. Like, but you have to be honest with yourself. Again, there's a lot of toxic messages out there, so you can believe whatever you want to believe. So I'm not giving you a very clear answer, I don't think, but I think a lot of it will come down to what your goal weight is and why. And then again, I don't know the specifics of what your calorie consumption is, but I would be careful, to make sure that you're energized, you're happy, you're healthy, you're strong, all those things. I hope that's part of the qualities you want for your goal weight. I hope. And so that should clear itself out, I hope. But without having more detail, it's hard for me to comment on it. Why do you think you're going too low? Paula says, I've been doing push-ups on the wall for my shoulder. Nice job, Paula. Yeah, right. It feels good. It's so nice. Paula's another one, got the shoulder surgery, but she had a way more intense surgery than I had. But oh man, it does feel nice once you get out, whatever, 6, 7, 8 months, 10 months away from it, it really starts coming together a bit. So it's hard being patient during that recovery time. But then once it starts all coming together, to start feeling strong again and know that strength's going to keep building. Oh man, feels good. So yeah, good job, Paula. So yeah, if anyone's got questions, feel free to ask them. Any weight loss questions, bring them up. We could talk about it. So I know a lot of people want to lose weight, but a lot of people feel stuck. And I believe a lot of people are stuck because of limiting beliefs, typically. And Icon says, waking up middle of the night hungry, do you think I need to eat a little more? That's always my first go-to when I hear about the middle of the night hungries. Yeah. I think my take on that, now this is through experience, so I can't say that, so that makes it anecdotal. I can't say this applies to everyone, but my first stop when I hear people having the midnight hungries and getting up and eating is that they're over restricting during the day. And their body just says, okay, fine, we'll wait till you go to sleep and you're at your weakest and we'll wake up and eat. So yeah, that's exactly the first thing I go to is that when I see the waking up at night eating, I'm saying, what are you eating during the day? And to me, it almost always reveals an over restricting during the day. And I think that, so my solution is that I would start eating more during the day, because most likely if, your willpower is weaker at night because you're sleeping, you know what I mean? That part of your brain's kind of resting. And so not only are you eating, but I'm going to assume you're not making the healthiest food choices. You're not probably getting up in the middle of the night and eat salad. So you're probably getting up in the middle of the night. You're not eating the healthiest food choices and you're probably eating a good amount of it. And so I would want to, when I had my full brain abilities during the day, I would want to make more, I would want to eat more food, but I want to optimize those food choices, So, yeah, that's what I would do. I would experiment with making some healthier food choices during the day, adding some healthier stuff in, clean, healthy food choices in, see if that changes the nighttime eating. That'd be my first stop. And then from there, I would, see if it fixed it. And then if it didn't, I would keep on working with it. But that is common. And I don't, it's not surprising to me, because most people that want to lose weight drastically over restrict. Because again, it is interesting. This book is so interesting to read because it brings me back, to the 90s. And yeah, I mean, we just didn't know. There was a lot more. I don't know. The whole weight loss industry is so bullshit. I'd like to say we're better, but I don't think we are. I mean, Christ almighty. Look, we've got carnivore diets now. And it's the dumbest shit. I don't know, because I try to stay out of all diets on my social media stuff because it bums me out. But I think that I just get it sometimes. And I got a Facebook post and it shows like a cheetah and a lion, and and then it says like meat eater, and then it shows like a hippo and a pig, plant eater. And it's like, it's so stupid. And I'm just like, but I know when people are desperate to lose weight, right? When you feel like you tried everything, you just want to lose weight more than anything in the world, and you're just so you're overwhelmed by it all, you're susceptible to that dumb shit. You know what I mean? It's the dumbest. It was the dumbest meme I've seen so far. And carnivores as dumb as it gets, simply because you're not a carnivore. It's just, it couldn't be any more scientifically obvious. You're as much not a carnivore as you, well, not exactly, but you're as much not a carnivore pretty much as you are. You're not a bird. You don't got wings, and it's like, you don't got teeth and claws to eat meat naturally. You don't have a digestive tract like a carnivore. And I'm not saying you can't eat meat, by the way, but I'm saying to exist solely on meat, like there's no biological evidence to say that. And yet, there you'll go. You'll see these memes that say it. And when you're desperate and dramatic, just like, want to lose the weight so badly, you'll fall for shit like that. And so the whole weight loss industry is that. It's just all bullshit, it seems. No one ever really talks about how to do it in a logical, comprehensive, holistic way that makes sense. You never get that. I mean, there literally like isn't even anything I can reference. I've been studying weight loss for 30 years. I can't think of one comprehensive, holistic approach. I think there's good diet plans, but I haven't seen a comprehensive, holistic. And Program Yourself Thin, we have Weight Mastery Pyramid: mindset, lifestyle, eating. So an eating plan is important as a starting point, but it ain't enough. And so I literally don't know any plan out there. What, Noom, because they tell you a couple psychological facts about food and eating? Weight Watchers, because they have groups of just people just telling you to be mindful. You know what I mean? Like, it's so superficial at best. And I can't think of anything that truly shows you how to transform your mindset, how to create a healthy lifestyle genuinely, practically, in a real way, and how to structure your eating built around you. That's, to me, the biggest problem with the diets, is they just tell you what to do as if everyone's the same. And the truth is, you have a different lifestyle. You have different preferences and genetics. It's weird to be like, okay, every 8 billion people got to eat this way. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't account for your uniqueness. And I think that's one of the big things that leads to its ineffectiveness. And all the diets don't work. I'm reflecting on that regularly. It's shocking to me that whatever, 50 years, 100 years into diets, there's not one diet that works long-term. Any diet can work short-term for a little while, but no diet works long-term. That's a crazy thing to realize. Not statistically. I mean, there's always outliers that it works for, but nothing statistically. What's up, D? D says, I know you don't exercise often, but if someone wanted to what would be the best? Well, I mean, I'm starting to exercise often, so I can talk from experience about how I approach it. And I think the best way to start exercising often, and I think that's a great goal, by the way. I think if you don't exercise and you want to exercise more, now, first of all, outside of weight loss, because exercising, ironically, is not really going to help you lose weight. So if you want to exercise for other reasons, great. If you want to exercise to lose weight, it's not the most effective way. You're better off putting that energy into changing your eating. Okay, that being said, if you want to exercise, I think the best thing to do is to exercise consistently. So the first thing you want to do is start to create the habit. So for me, I want to start doing more resistance training and exercising. And I'm starting not from zero, but close to it. I mean, I do yoga, so I'm connected to my body. I'm aware of my body. I'm somewhat active, so I've got those advantages. But my strength has gone way down. My shoulder hurting. I broke my foot. So there's 2 years in a row, I have some issues, brought my strength way down. It's not 2 years, it's 4 or 5 years in a row. Okay, so I'm in muscle wise, strength wise, I'm kind of starting from scratch. So my goal is that I want to implement a habit. That's my first goal. So the way that I do it, now again, it's different for each person, but what I do is that I look to weave my exercising into my normal routine. So What I do is when I come in my office, I've got push-up bars. And so what I will do is what I first started off with is I would do 5 push-ups. Okay. That's not again, what's a lot, what's a little, I don't know. It depends on you. But 5 push-ups initially it was okay. It's a little bit of a challenge. Test out the shoulders, see how it goes, whatever. You might be at a place where doing wall push-ups is where you're at. Again, it's always relative, but the concept and the process can be the same. So I'll do 5 push-ups, right? And that was the first week. The second week I did 6 push-ups, worked up to 10. Okay. And I was going to keep going, but I was starting to feel pretty good. My muscles were getting stronger. My shoulder was feeling good. Okay. So I pushed it up and I started doing 20. Now, again, you have to understand a couple of years ago, I was doing push-ups. So I'm not starting from absolute zero here. So it depends where you're starting from. If you're starting from absolute zero, you start slower. No big deal. Because a couple of years ago, what I did is I did literally 5, 6, 7, 8. Every week I'd add one more, but I would do it each day. Okay. Monday through Friday. Come in here, do push-ups. 5 of them. Next week, 6 of them. Next week, 7 of them. And I got all the way up to like 35, and then my shoulder really started hurting and I stopped. So here I am now. So what I do, and again, I don't want you to get caught up on what the numbers I'm doing. I want you to understand the process is every day when I come here before I start working is I will do 25 push-ups and I do 25 squats, no weight or anything, just to get my legs working and moving. And then I've been doing that for a couple of weeks. And now I add a little bit more to that. So I do 2 sets. So I do 25 push-ups, 25 squats, 10 push-ups, 10 squats. And I will keep building on that. But the point is now I've worked it in. So every day when I come to my office, I do that. So it doesn't have to, you pick the time that works best for you. Simultaneously, I started doing stretches while I'm making my breakfast in the morning. So I think when you start to weave very simple, easy to do exercises, that's the way to do it. I think most people and myself, I've been guilty of this for a long time. Oh, I'm going to start lifting. So I need to go to the gym and I need to do the full 35, 40-minute hour routine. Well, that puts the barrier way up here. And what I've learned is that I want to put the barrier way down here. I want to make it so simple. And the reason I'm able to do this is because I think long-term. So I don't give a shit how strong I'm going to get in the next month, the next 3 months. I care how strong I'm going to be next year at this time, 5 years from now. And so when you extend the time frame, starting off slow is no big deal. And starting off slow is the secret sauce to actually starting anything. Because if and I've done this so many times, I can tell you what happens is, let's say I go into, so I'm going to start with, 25 push-ups a day. Just start off with that. So I do it the first day. Oh man, I feel strong. All right. Second day. All right. Pretty good. Third day. Okay. Fourth day. Ooh, my arm hurts. I pulled a muscle. Ooh, I'm kind of sore. I don't want to do it. I got to do it. Okay. Fifth day. Oh shit. Ow. I can't even do it today. I'm hurt. I'm really sore. I'm going to take 3 days off here. I'll do it. Start next week. Next week comes. Hey, I'm kind of sore. I don't know. I'm not 25. I don't want to do it. It hurts. What I do is I started to associate pain, misery to it. So when you start really low, your brain's going to say, this doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This isn't fast enough. That's the biggest thing you're fighting against. But if you can let that go and just start really simple, what happens is you let the good stuff outweigh the bad stuff. What I mean by that is that when I first did 5 push-ups, it was relatively easy, but I felt I did something. Hey, look at me. Cool. I felt stronger than I had felt. That was good. It wasn't that hard. Cool. So I kind of look forward to it. It was just kind of it was a net positive, right? It was a little hard, but it was mostly, oh, hey, look at me. And I looked to kind of surf that. I don't believe in the no pain, no gain bullshit for most of us. Maybe you're different than I am, but when I feel pain, I stop working out. So, I hate that that's the predominant mindset. I'm not judging it. I mean, if you're like a David Goggins who loves pain and just gets off on it, knock yourself out. But most of my clients that I work with don't like pain much at all. And unfortunately, you've been just sold this crock of shit that in order to lift weights or in order to exercise, it's got to be this fucking miserable, painful process that you just got to fight through to get to the other side. I find that to be utter bullshit. And it doesn't work for me. I just don't do it. So again, my main suggestion in a nutshell is just start really small so that you can have easy wins. Make it easy. I'm just doing simple squats. I started with 5 simple squats and my legs were sore the next day. That's how out of shape my legs were. So and now I'll do 25 to 35 today. Feels good. And I see myself, at some point I could see myself progressing to weights, but again, take a little bit of time. Thanks, Carmen. So if you do that, I think you can work up to a place where it feels comfortable the whole time. So it's like no pain, all gain. That's what I say. What am I looking to do here? I think our sense of like what we're looking to accomplish is so skewed. Now, I've been guilty of it. You know what I mean? I see the guys all jacked up and, oh, I want to have big muscles. And like, I don't give a fuck, and I certainly don't want to work that way. I don't want to kill myself. Like I don't like doing that. So that's my take on it. What's up, Neely? You helped me so much. Oh, you're welcome, Neely. Thank you for saying that. Appreciate that. Somebody says, hi. Thank you. And Icon says, yes. Very good. Good. Debbie says, emotional eating advice. Thank you. Yeah, emotional eating advice. Listen, the big thing about emotional eating is to recognize that the emotional eating is not the main problem. In a nutshell, that's the simple answer to that. It's not the emotional eating, because you think the emotional eating is the problem. And so you're the way you approach it is you try and use your willpower to stop you from emotional eating. But the emotional eating is a symptom of a deeper problem. And the deeper problem is that you're not getting your emotional needs met. You do not know how to manage your emotions genuinely without food. And it's not your fault. We are raised in this environment where we're conditioned since birth to use food as our main emotional management strategy. To deal with shitty emotions, we turn to food. To celebrate positive emotions, we turn to food. So you've been conditioned that way your entire life. So again, it's not your fault that you think that way. But that's the problem as it shows up now for you, is that let's just say you get lonely and depressed. Let's just use that as one example. And it could be any emotion, substitute any emotion. It's the same process. You get lonely and depressed and you start eating. Why? Because when you feel lonely and depressed, the best way to feel better in that moment is to start eating. So you feel lonely and depressed, you start eating, you feel less lonely and depressed while you're eating. And then once you finish eating, now you tend to shift into like anger and guilt at yourself, which ironically, in that situation, anger and guilt's a fiery, more powerful emotion. So it's better than feeling lonely and depressed. So it serves you in two ways. It distracts you while you're eating, and then it leads you to a more fiery emotion that you feel afterwards. That's not always the case, but that could be. And so, so what's the answer? The answer is not to stop emotional eating, right? Because in this situation, okay, you stop emotional eating. You stop eating when you're lonely and depressed. Well, now you're just thin and lonely and depressed. That's not what you're looking for. Okay. So again, this is really important. This gets back to a bigger concept with weight anyways, and why dieting really fails 95% of the time, because it never deals with the core issues. Your weight doesn't dictate your emotions. You got to know that. I don't mean to be a bummer to you, but you could wake up today at your goal weight and you're super excited for a little while. And then regular life is just regular life. I'm at my goal weight and I go through all the same emotions of fucking sadness, loneliness, anger, all the same bullshit. It's more enjoyable to deal with it at my goal weight. No doubt about it. I don't have as many negative emotions as I did, but it's still relatively the same shit. Relationship issues, financial issues, work issues, health issues. You know what I mean? Like there's always bullshit. And the diet industry sold you this fairy tale that you get to your goal weight and everything's fine. It's not true. You've got to work on your inside no matter what. The weight doesn't dictate that. And I know you know that, but you forget about it because you fall into a trance-like state where you fall into the hypnosis of the diet industry. That, I just be my goal weight, everything will be amazing. It won't be. And so what we want to do is emotional eating is a perfect example of this, that it reveals a deeper problem. Right. And so in the case I'm talking about, say you feel lonely and depressed sometimes, then you start eating. The real solution is to identify, okay, what emotion am I feeling that triggers the eating? And then ask the question, okay, I feel lonely and depressed. And then ask the magical question, what do I want to feel? That's the big question. And let's just say, for example, you say, well, I'd like to feel loved and connected with someone. Okay. Now we ask the real magical question, which is, how can I feel more love and connection in my life? And that answer is going to be different for different people. But let's just say, oh, well, I'll call up some family and friends and talk to them more. I'll go meet up with them. I'll go do this thing with these people I enjoy. I'll go on a date night with my partner, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, again, the answer is always different, but it gets to the core issue. You're dealing with the core emotional challenge. In Program Yourself Thin, we have a whole section on emotions because you've never learned how to run your emotions. And it's a crucial part of mastering your weight. You have to learn how to deal with the shitty emotions that you're going to experience in life and how to feel the emotions, the wonderful emotions you want to feel more of in your life without food. And you've never learned this most likely. And so once you learn that, let's just say, oh, okay, yeah. And then you start doing things that make you feel more loved and connected. Okay. Now, all of a sudden, just automatically, you've started to reduce your emotional eating because you don't feel as lonely and depressed anymore. So now you're not emotional eating as much. But way beyond just losing weight, you now feel more fulfilled emotionally. A lot of people walking around emotionally malnourished, right? We know about physical malnourishment, but a lot of people walking around emotionally malnourished because they're not getting their emotional needs met. The emotional eating is a distraction. If you feel lonely and depressed and you go and eat a bunch of food, as soon as you finish taking your last bite, you don't feel full of love and connection. It was just a distraction. And so it never gives you the core emotional fulfillment you're looking for. And this is a big problem. So again, in Program Yourself Thin, this is a core part of the program that we're looking to fulfill ourselves emotionally. And even when you're fulfilled emotionally, you still got to deal with bullshit in life too. Anyways, that never stops. But you can have the tools to deal with it way more effectively. So hopefully that helps you, Debbie. What's up, Kent? Ken says healthy habits without feeling any deprivation, all thanks to following your plan. Thank you, Kent. Yeah, Ken's in the program, just killing it. Again, when you have a real plan, weight mastery is way easier. And I say this every day, and I will continue to say it every day, that those of you out there, you dieters who are struggling with your weight, you think you're struggling with your weight because you don't have the self-control and willpower. Or maybe you think you don't have the right diet plan. But the real core problem is that you don't know. You don't know how to think, live, and eat like a thin and healthy person. No one has taught you this. And that's what Program Yourself Thin does. It basically teaches you how you, by the way, I'm not going to tell you how I live as a thin and healthy person because who gives a shit? You're not me. Does that make sense? I'm not going to sit here and tell you what I eat and give you my meal plan and say, okay, here you go. Here's your plan. The fuck? You're not me. You don't live my life. You should never accept someone just telling you what to do. Yeah, like you always put it in a different context, and it seems as silly as it is that if I was going to tell you like how to dress, what music to listen to, what movies to watch, would you accept that? I hope not. You're a human being, a unique, beautiful human being. You've got to represent your own spirit, your own uniqueness within your weight mastery plan. So again, what I do, a third of the program is your weight mastery blueprints, where you fill out how to have the mindset of a thin and healthy person for you. The first thing we go through is motivation. What motivates me isn't going to motivate you. You're a different person. But have you ever gone through your motivation for weight loss in detail? Have you ever found out what's really motivating you about this? I know you haven't, because you just assume you're really motivated. You confuse that because you think about your weight constantly, you confuse that with motivation. And that's one of the cardinal sins you're making with your weight, is that you think you're motivated at a level 10. You're not. You're not. Your motivation, you think your motivation's up here, but your motivation's really down here. And that leads to the most toxic belief you can possibly have, that I'm doing everything I can to lose weight and nothing is working. That I've never seen that to be true with my clients. I've done over 6,000 private weight loss sessions, so I'm not just making this up. I mean, very few people have the experience I have. I myself have never seen someone who's made changes in what they're doing not lose weight. And I've never seen someone who couldn't make changes in what they're doing either. Even though they may think that there's nothing left to do. I'm doing everything perfect, Jim. I've not seen that. So great job, Ken. Yeah. When you have a plan that's built around you that really works, as you can imagine, it makes things a lot easier. So Ken's living proof of that. So he says, I'm still bouncing between 170 and 150, which with my frame is BMI 2927. That's very interesting. That's a 20-pound weight bouncing. Very unusual, Sophie. I don't hear that very often. So what time frame are you talking about that you're bouncing around 170 to 150? That's very interesting. And that's a huge range. I suggest people, whatever your goal weight's going to be, that you live within a 5-pound range in your mind. I think one of the worst things you can do to yourself is have like a one single number, because your body's constantly fluctuating. And if you weigh yourself and you're a pound up or a couple pounds up and you freak out, that's one of the worst things you can do, because it's going to happen. I mean, your body just your weight fluctuates. So yeah, give me a little more information on that stuff. That seems a very big range. So he says, how do I break this barrier and get to 140? I mean, my first goal would be to consistently maintain 150. So that's very interesting. I'll stop being overweight medically at 140. It's not arbitrary for me. Oh, okay. Yeah. And I know everybody is different. um, I mean, it's interesting too. I think that, and I've had allusions to this, and I think it clarified it when I've been reading this book, The Beauty Myth, that what's your goal weight? What's your medically overweight number? Right? Because a lot of times what we're referencing is a BMI chart. And the BMI chart, I think, is a reference point. I use it, so I'm not going to sit here and say I don't, but it's more applicable to me because a lot of the BMI, I can't imagine they have an update. I got to do a little more research on it, but the BMI originally was from white men in Europe. I forget what country it was. And so it's not representative of all people. That's medicine in general, by the way. Medicine is biased towards white men, if you can imagine that. So that being said, the number, I've never suggested the BMI be your main and only reference point, because it's flawed, especially if you're not just a white man. That being said, they have plenty of evidence at this point. And it's like, you wonder, well, why is it? It's like where people are in the overweight category, the BMI chart, and they're just as healthy or healthier than people that are at the normal weight in the BMI chart. And I think the reason for this is because it's not based on a comprehensive population. At least it wasn't. I got to look into it. I can't imagine they wouldn't have updated it. That seems crazy, but there's crazier things in the world that I've seen. So anyway, Sophie, again, the 140, what I would do if I were you, you're talking about getting a barrier, breaking through a barrier to get to 140. What I would do is I would take a little bit of time and reflect on what is it about 140 that's so important to you? Just because you're medically not overweight anymore, I can guarantee you is not enough if you're not connected to what that means. So plenty of doctors have told people what they should weigh, and that hasn't done shit to change their behavior. We need to internalize the motivation. We literally just went through this yesterday. It's called intrinsic motivation. You need to give your weight more meaning. Most people weight, just right off the bat, the number on a scale doesn't mean anything to you intrinsically. I know you think it does because you've been conditioned that way your whole life, but to prove the point, it's like if I said, from now on, we're not using pounds, we're using square inches of skin, and you want to be in the 40 range. I'm just making that number up, by the way. But notice how that doesn't mean anything to you. The weight doesn't mean anything to you intrinsically. We've been on the earth for millions of years with no scales or measurement system of pounds to measure ourselves. It's a very, very new thing. So we need to give our weight more meaning. So for you, stop being overweight medically. Why is that important to you? And whatever answer you come with, why is that important to you? Whatever answer you come up with, why is that important to you? I would want to get to a deeper reason why it's important to you. And you will either find that deeper reason, or you will realize there is no deeper reason for you. You don't really care. You're happy at 150, one or the other. But either way, you're going to be in a better spot, because when people have a barrier that they're struggling to get to, it's almost always a motivation incongruence. You're not truly clear about why you want to accomplish it. And to say like, well, because medically I won't be overweight anymore, that sounds great logically, but emotionally it may not mean much to you. So I don't know if that makes sense to you. What's up, Connie? Oops. Oh, Debbie said, thank you so much. You're welcome, Debbie. Camilla says, do you recommend putting my eating window around my gym hours? Do I recommend putting my eating window around my gym hours? In my brain, I don't think it matters a shit of difference. I think it depends whatever works best for you. In terms of fasted eating and fasted working out and all that shit, A, it's not my specialty. B, I think it's a bunch of bullshit, most of it. I think ultimately your weight comes down to the average calorie consumption that you have over a week too, by the way. Got a conversation today. I don't think looking at your calories daily, that's a piece of the puzzle, but I look in the paradigm. I measure my calories in a loose way, and I think in a weekly term. So I couldn't answer that, Camilla. Sophie says, okay, over the course of the past 2 years, 170, 290, 160, 150, 160, 170, 160. Okay, I got you now, Sophie. Yeah. Low carb food ideas. Hi, Jim. I've been drinking and put weight on, but I'm back to where I started now, though. Yeah, great job. And again, I mean, like if you can disconnect emotionally from this whole process a bit, you'll all be well served. And if you start to look at gathering data, right? So if you start drinking, pay attention to what happens and use that data to inform your decision moving forward. So great job. Yeah. So he says, I love that you're reading The Beauty Myth, Naomi Wolf. Yes, Naomi Wolf, who I'd been confusing with Naomi. Now I'm confusing her with the actress, Naomi Klein. That was the other one. That's why I thought I'd written it. So I was a little confused by that. And then, yeah, anyways, Naomi Klein wrote a book called Doppelganger about Naomi Wolf. I guess they get confused all the time. They must look alike too, I guess. But yeah, super duper book, Beauty Myth. Very eye-opening for me. And again, along my journey to become a feminist, I'm that is something I strive for and I'm working on. And this book has dramatically moved me in that direction. And it's been wonderful. And I think it's a book every woman should read. I don't know. Again, I can't vouch for everything in it, but I just think so many of the ideas in it are just so profound. And I think if I was a woman, I've said this a couple of times, but I just think it would be so validating. I think it would clarify and validate so many of the things that you have felt in your life that you may not have been able to put words to or ideas to. I think it's so powerful, and it's depressing too. But I'm used to that. I live in a depressing reality in the sense that, I started all this, 75% of the population at this point is overweight or obese. And reading The Beauty Myth also does help me define how differently I see this. And I think about this because to me, weight has never been primarily about how I look. It's been primarily about how long I'll live and my quality of life while I'm alive. My father died at 54 of a heart attack. He was obese. And so that's always been my framing. It's always been a much more severe framing around this than just how you look. But so that's the negative reality I live in, is that the reason I'm here every day for free, by the way, this is part of my dharma, I'm a yoga instructor. So it's like part of my giving to the world is to just dedicate or donate my time to try and help people that are stuck being overweight, stuck living as a dieter. Because I believe that what you eat consistently in your life is the number one thing that's going to dictate how long you live. And more importantly, the quality of life while you're here. So, for me, this is life and death. It's that important. So I'm used to reading things that bum me out and being aware of realities that bum me out. But the Beauty Myth's a bummer. But I think, sometimes learning about bummer things is good for you. And it helps you. It gives you at least maybe the chance to break free of it to some degree. And that, to be honest, I know, it does make me, I was thinking that today, it's like, and I've thought about this before, like program yourself thin. And I know the word thin, I know it's a loaded term. And I've spent literally years thinking about this because to me, thin always means a lot more. To me, thin means living at your goal weight, whatever that is that you decide. And your goal weight is the weight that gives you the best quality of life. And so I know it's a loaded term and people are triggered by it sometimes, but I was never able to figure another word that really just fit the bill, and the truth is I like being thin. There's a part of me reclaiming the word. I know the toxic associations with thin. I understand that, However, I personally like being thin because I feel like it's the best version of me. Like I feel lighter, more energized, not in how I'm looking. I'm talking about um, like how I feel and who I am. I feel lighter. I feel more clear headed. I feel like I'm more comfortable in my body. It's easier for me to move, so all the core things that define me as a person and allow me to do the things I want to do in my life are directly related to the foods I'm putting in my body, the weight I'm carrying around, the body I'm living in. So that's my definition of it. And I know it's a little bit rabbit hole, but anyways, I do think everyone should read it too. D&D Pro says, hey, Jim, working through the weight mastery program. Should I finish all the modules before I work with the emails like I received today, motivation part 2? Hope that makes sense. Yeah. No, I get that. That's up to you. You can really do it either way. You can go just straight through the programs. I think the value of watching the new trainings is they're just kind of updated. And I think I'm always iterating and optimizing the program. So I think depending on where you're at, if you're like at motivation right now, I'd watch the new trainings, but again, you can't go wrong either way. It's the same information, basically, most of it. It's sometimes just tweaked a little bit. So either way, you're fine, whatever works best for you. Nara says 5 to 10 pound range for women, maybe due to hormonal monthly cycle. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that's a good point, Nara. Yeah, if you're a woman with your cycle and your weight, again, you have to figure out for yourself, it's so relative and dependent, like what your goal weight range is going to be. So, like I work with people, like if you're like morbidly obese, you can swing 10, 15 pounds real fast. And it's, you know what I mean? Like, so again, it is so relative. And so if you're a woman and you notice like during the month, your cycle comes and it can cause swings of 10 pounds, then that becomes your range and you understand the context within that. So when it's cycle time, when you know where you're at in your cycle, you're like, okay, this is where my weight kind of spikes for a week and then it goes back to normal. Bring that into your mindset so you have awareness of what's going on with you. I obviously don't have that situation. So mine is a 5 pound. It's pretty consistent all the time. If I was a woman at a cycle, my thing spun 10 pounds, I would literally say it's usually 5 pounds. And then, during this period of the month, during this week, it could go up to 10 pounds, but usually it's a 5 pounds. So again, you have to like customize how you're thinking about things to your situation, right? Just Jade says BMI chart was updated to reflect extended percentile. So basically they updated it because people were getting so much bigger is how I read it. Yeah, that's interesting, Just Jade. And I know that the extended percentiles, because people are literally as a population just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So I knew that part. And my question was, and I can't imagine that we're not, I have to look into this more. I know where the BMI chart came from. It would just seem crazy to me. But again, crazy things happen that we're still using the same BMI chart from a limited population in the past. That doesn't make any sense to me. So, but I don't know. I got to research it a little bit more. But no matter what, the BMI chart, again, it's just one point of reference for you to decide your goal weight. Because again, when we're talking about health, it's been pretty proven now that if you're in the normal weight range, slightly in the underweight range, in the overweight range, you can be pretty healthy. When you start getting in the obese category, that's where the health correlates, start to show up, the negative ones. But even in the overweight range, you can still be healthy. So at that point, it becomes a matter of personal preference. You know what I mean? Once we're past, and again, hey, listen, your health, I don't want to be the healthiest person I can be. You don't either. If I wanted to be the healthiest person I could be, I wouldn't even be on a screen. I'd be out in the woods. I would never drink alcohol. I would never eat anything. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't want to be that. I manage it. I think we all do. So I think your weight's the same thing. You get to manage the weight that you want to live at. What weight do you want to live at? What weight gives you the best quality of life? And I think the BMI chart is a reference point in making that decision. And then there's other ones, but I think that the main, there's a hip to waist ratio, which is more accurate, and with the health piece of it. So you could reference that too. So there's things you can reference, but ultimately it comes down to where's the best quality of life for me in terms of how do I want to live and, what lifestyle do I want? How do I want to eat? How do I want to live? And then the weight piece of it, the weight piece does matter. When you're in the obese category, you really are statistically setting yourself up to deal with a lot of health issues. That's just a fact. Body positivity. I love all bodies, but I mean, they're also scientific realities. And I think that you should make those decisions with your eyes open. So, um, oh yeah, okay, Jones. Yeah, I asked because listening to these daily videos and sometimes feel like I'm all over the place. Yeah, I get that, Darlene. So in that case, just go through the modules. Just get through those, right? One time. And then that other stuff's always going to be there. Because again, once you're in the mastery program, you have lifetime access to those Tuesday calls. So yeah, just go through the modules then. If you're feeling kind of all over the place, just zone in, dial in to doing the modules, filling out the blueprints, and then learning obviously the program yourself then technique. Melancholy says the height weight chart is the metric living inside my head as the gold standard, but I think inches are more meaningful. I still get on the scale multiple times a day, most days. That's interesting. Getting on the scale multiple times a day. Now that's interesting. I don't know what the benefit of that would be. And I'm a big fan of weighing yourself daily, but weighing yourself multiple times a day seems, I'm not sure where the benefit would be there. And it seems like it would be more harmful because I think you'd make yourself crazy. So, when I talk about stepping on the scale every day, simultaneously embedded in with that concept is also doing mindset work. And I got to be honest, I think stepping on the scale multiple times a day reveals probably some mindset issue that could probably be worked on with this, with the scale. That's my guess. Again, I'm not judging it, but I don't know, Yeah. Darren says my mindset's more powerful than any diet. Yeah, absolutely. Mindset's the most important thing. Mandy says, I want to do mostly vegetarian, maybe pescatarian, but trainer keeps telling me I should do carnivore. Yeah, I mean, trainers are as susceptible to all the bullshit as anyone, if not more so. So, I mean, the protein focus in the society is out of control. Now, I am a pescatarian, pretty much a vegetarian, pretty much a vegan. I really don't eat much dairy. I don't eat any land animals. I eat some clams and fish occasionally. So I'm pretty much veganish here. But the protein thing, I believe the protein thing is so overstated. It's crazy. And I've had this conversation many times and we can disagree, but I will give my point of it that I think is very intuitive and easy to see. That if you look at all the societies in the world, there's no society that's carnivore. There are societies that are carnivore-ish. And they got different genetics from you, right? The Inuit Indians or Inuit, I don't even know if Eskimos is the preferred term anymore, but the Inuit people that subside on whale products for a lot of the year, they literally don't go into ketosis. They got a genetic mutation that prevents them from going to ketosis. What is it? The Matai from Africa, they don't have great health. So you have to point to me, the society that is meat-based, that's thriving health-wise. And I will take your society and give it to me now if you want to. Go ahead, knock me out. Hit me with a society that's thriving on a high protein diet. And I will give you pretty much every society on earth that's ever thrived health-wise has been eating a high carb diet. If you look at the blue zones, and I'm sure they can say why it's all bullshit, but if you look at the blue zones, they went to the 5 areas of the world that had the highest percentage of living centenarians, people over 100 years old. And they studied their diets. And without exception, they were high plant-based diets. High beans. They ate meat, a little bit of meat, but it was very, very low. And I don't know, like again, you would have to tell me what society is thriving on a high protein diet. And you could tell me, well, that's because we've never had the opportunity to do it. And so we're going to become some superhuman version that the Earth's never seen before. You could make that argument. I wouldn't buy into it, but you could make it. But you couldn't tell me of any society that I'm aware of that's been thriving on high protein. I mean, shit, even paleo person, which even that whole idea is silly to begin with. saying that you're going to eat a paleo diet is like saying you're going to eat a 2025 diet. Does that make sense? Right? What if I said, oh, you're going to eat the year 2025 diet? What people ate in 2025? Well, where? Right? It's a big world. So yeah, it was the year, but which people are you talking about? You think paleo people that lived in South America are going to eat the same as people that lived in Russia? And by the way, they've studied paleo. They've been able to find out that the paleo people on average were consuming 130 grams of fiber a day, which blows wide dramatic holes in that whole philosophy anyways, which is all it takes is look at your fucking intestines. You don't have the intestines of a meat eater. I'm sure I'm wrong on that somehow too. But again, I don't know. Like the protein, listen, usually you can figure out what's popular and why by following the money. And there's a lot of money being made off of protein. The meat industry is an enormous industry. The protein supplement and shake industry is an enormous industry, very profitable. The whole fruit and vegetable industry, not as much money in that. And there could be, I mean, there's money in it, but it's not the same type of money. So, we get promoted to us where the money and the profits are. So that's my take on it, but you're welcome to disagree. So he says, thank you for that. It's helpful. I think it's tough because BMI is so subjective and has so much history. Yeah, exactly, Sophie. Agreed. So I'm not connected to what that means. Good. Sophie said, oh yeah, great. Not connected to what that means. I'm really glad because I'm glad there's a light bulb moment for you because it's a profound concept if you can get it. Yeah. Vicky said, I think of weight mastery as being the best version of myself mentally and physically. Yeah, Vicky's in the program. She's awesome. So he said, did you know the pandemic reduced women's injuries due to high heels? Oh my God, that's fascinating. I had not heard that. She said, what's the book again? The Beauty Myth by Naomi Wolf. Hazel says, what about weight loss during pregnancy? Is it safe, healthy? Got pregnant during my weight loss journey. I mean, I can't really speak to that, but I would hope that, health becomes the primary focus and what that does to your weight. I gotta say, I literally have never worked with someone when they're pregnant. So I seek to be as transparent as possible and speak to what I know. And so I'm gonna bow out of that question. And with limited information I know, again, if you focus on health. I think that's important. It makes me think though, in this beauty myth, she was talking about how, God Lord, like adolescent girls probably suffer as much as anyone, but it's acute there because it's just happening. So it seems worse, but it's also worse too, because a lot of times there's this pressure for adolescent girls to be super thin, and it's at a time in their life when they're growing. And so again, I don't know where you're at in your journey. So I don't know, if you're morbidly obese and you're pregnant, could you lose weight and it be healthy for you? Maybe, I guess, but if you're at a relatively normal weight and you're trying to lose weight when you're pregnant, I wouldn't think that'd be the best thing, but again, I don't really know. And he says, I do want to do mostly vegetarian, maybe pescatarian. Oh yeah, I got that one. I just don't think I could do that and feel very good. Yeah, I mean, most people on carnivore aren't going to feel good over time. And yeah, you should always do what's right for you. Absolutely. Make all, yep. Yeah, and he said, my thoughts exactly. Yeah. He says, I won't be able to get the toned look I want without more protein. I mean, that's bullshit. But I'm not surprised. I mean, there's such a protein. There's a great book I just read. I love this book, Proteinaholic. And I'm going to do a lesson on it. I'm going to do it outside of my normal times. I don't want to force my people if they don't buy into that, because I have noticed a lot of women really have bought into the myth that you're going to crumble into dust if you don't consume hyper amounts of protein. And I didn't realize how prevalent that message was. Again, I don't think reality proves that at all. I mean, how would it? Like, again, I got to go look up. I know, because I know there's it's the information age and people come up with bullshit about everything. So I know there's probably some argument against how the blue zones were a bunch of bullshit. Okay. So we have these societies where the highest number of 100-year-old people live. What do you think? You know what I mean? They're absolutely not eating high protein diets. No question about that. And they're living to 100, and not only living to 100, they're at a high level of health. So it's not like they're just like laying in bed, high morbidity, just living, barely living. They're thriving as well as you can at 100 on low protein diets. And it's 5 places. And that's just 5 places of the highest number of people. Look at any pre-westernized culture. And they almost always, if they had enough food, they almost always had better health markers than we have now. Lower rates of obesity, lower rates of being overweight, lower type 2 diabetes numbers, And so this idea that you need lots of protein to thrive, I don't know what it's based on. Maybe, again, a toned look, to be honest. I mean, bodybuilding is an outlier, unnatural thing. It really is. I mean, again, it requires an unnatural lifestyle and a natural amount of protein and calories. So I'm not knocking it. If that's what you want to do, knock yourself out. But it's not a normal, natural thing, as far as I can tell. Yeah. So he says, yeah, paleo diet's eating what you can find outside. Yeah, exactly. It's eating squirrels and bugs and tubers and, shit you find outside. And most of the shit you find outside is plant-based that you're going to eat. This paleo idea, again, it's sold in different ways to different people, but the guys, it's sold as this macho, you're killing your food and you're eating it and you're hunting and all the rest of it. But it's like, no, I mean, you didn't want to hunt a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you were not hunting big animals, because anytime you hunt a big animal, there's the chance of getting hurt. So I know we hunted, but it's like, it was way easier just to get food that was growing, that you could just dig out of the ground safely. That's what we ate primarily. So, yeah, I mean, I've seen many vegan bodybuilders, so I'm guessing you can get enough protein with plants. Yes, you absolutely can. Yeah, there are vegan bodybuilders, so they kind of blow that out of the water too. So, yes, Leon said the world's driven by money. It is, and that's what causes all the weight problems. All the diets you all are listening to are run by the food companies. I mean, you don't get a chance to get any real information ever in this society. That's, again, why I try to get out here and at least share my point of view. I'm trying to hit you straight with it. Monkey see, monkey do. It's awful, but true. It's just true. It is true. It just is. Yeah. Poor young girls. Yep. It's awful. The hormones as they become young women. It just is. And it's sad. It's so sad. And it's like, it's one of those things. It's not like you don't know this stuff. And if you're a woman, it's obviously, it. Like, I know this, but it's like, it's just sometimes like, what do they say? Like, you can't read the pill bottle when you're inside. You can't read the pill bottle from inside the bottle. Right. And so sometimes, like, when you're in it, you can't really just realize how shitty it is. And I talk about this all the time with the food and the diet industry. But when it comes to like what it's like to be a woman in the society, what it's been like for, especially the last 50 years, it's uniquely different the last 50 years with the beauty myth thing. It's a form of control. It's fascinating. And it's, again, I'm not saying all of what she's saying is true. I can't judge that, but the gist of it's absolutely true. You see it, it's right in front of your eyes. And it's just crazy. So, but it impacts everything we're talking about here, because, one of the core things I talk about is what your goal weight is and why you want to do this. And what most people are subconsciously, how they're choosing their goal weight is based on the beauty standards and industry. And it's not based on a real comprehensive, holistic, well thought out goal. And that's part of what I seek to do with people, is to make your motivation much deeper. For most people, their motivation is very superficial. They just want to look better. But for most people, that's not enough motivation. That's why 75% of the population is overweight or obese. So, yeah, the protein thing's a trend. It's absolutely a trend. Again, look at every society on Earth, pretty much throughout time. No one ever ate this much protein. You just couldn't. We can eat this much protein because of all the livestock in the meat industry. Like a serving of meat is like 4 ounces, a deck of cards. How powerful the meat industry is. Oprah did a thing on, what was it? She did a thing on vegetarian or something she did. It wasn't even like a takedown of the meat industry. It was just like an adjacent Oh, my cameras went out. Oh, it's starting to get warm. That's why. Um, it was just an adjacent thing to the meat industry, and they sued her. And it's like, man, if you can sue Oprah and take her down, right? You got to know. I get my camera. Chill out here. So, anyways, it's a powerful, profitable industry, and it's affected how we think about everything. Yeah, the egg thing, right? Absolutely. More protein is good for me with ADHD and helps me feel full, but I don't need to max out on it. Yeah, again, everyone's different. Everyone's got to figure out what they're doing, but yeah, the eggs. But it's just crazy. Again, I don't know. Like I'm and I've lived with this subtly because I've been vegetarian, pescatarian for 25 years. And everyone's like, oh, protein, protein, protein. And it's like, I don't give a shit about protein. I'm fine. I mean, maybe I'll fall into dust in another 5 years. I don't know. But I'm pretty happy with where I'm at now. It's a bunch of bullshit. No one ever was worried about their protein. Like, you want to be a superhuman? You want to be what? What are you looking to be with the protein? It's just weird. Your body makes protein anyways. You get protein from like lots of stuff. It's just, again, it's overstated. Whatever. Okay, so it disturbs me when I hear carnivore touted as the proper human diet. According to who, I don't buy it. Of course, yeah. There's no fucking way that carnivore diet can be the proper human diet, folks. You don't have a carnivore intestine. I mean, it's just so, you don't have carnivore teeth. And again, I'm not saying you can't eat meat, but you are not a carnivore. There's no evidence for that at all. And again, but you should just use it as proof that people will believe anything and people will say anything. And this is literally why most people are stuck being overweight, because they've had their head filled with rocks. Yeah. Angela said, using an anchor has helped me. I think I had too much iron on the carnivore diet and started randomly throwing up at month 8. Oh my God. Yeah. Well, and that's the big thing with carnivore, and that's the big thing with keto, and that's the big thing with most strict diets, that it's not what happens in the first couple months. It's what happens in the first couple years. That's what you should be focusing on. And when I see carnivore people, that have been doing it for 5 years, 10 years, then I would listen a little bit more, although I'd still think they're outliers and it's not going to last. But how many people that you listen to have been doing it for 5, 10 years? There's always a couple of them, and they're probably doing it because they're probably financially benefiting from it. And they might be outliers. There's always outliers. But just all you have to do is think about how you feel. And I think most people feel kind of shitty eating. I think most people feel kind of shitty eating only meat. But just Jade, the meat and dairy industries are incredibly powerful. Yeah, they're super powerful, and they influence what you think is normal. That's the hard part. So is the processed food. I mean, the processed food seems normal to eat now. It's not. Oh, look at that, Ilya. My son eats 8 eggs a day. Holy shit. Yeah, and that's what I feel bad for. I mean, it's all in the same thing. I mean, people eating just meat, just eggs, people eating mostly processed food, people being obese. It's all of it to me. It's all going in the wrong direction. That being said, I do help people. I mean, if someone wants to be carnivore, I've worked with people that are on a carnivore diet. I'll help people do whatever they want to do. Yeah. Yep. Moms need to preach to our young daughters, teach them young. It is true. It's true. Saw a documentary on World's Strongest Man competition. He's a vegan. There you go. That alone ought to just pretty much, it's just bullshit. What can I say? If you want to read more around it alongside Wolf, Judith Butler is another amazing read. Don't tell me. I literally just got another book, and is it Judith Butler? I'm going to lose my mind if it is. I bet it is. I don't know if it is. It is Joan Brumberg. So no wonder I thought it was, okay, Joan Brumberg. And this other one is Judith Butler. That's funny, huh? It's JB. But yeah, I'll look into it because I am fascinated by it. And, I'm fascinated with it for a lot of reasons, but everything I read, I'm fascinated. Anything that has to do with weight and health and cultural conditioning, it's all related to me. So I'm obsessed with all of it. Yeah. Doesn't mean I agree with every single thing, but if you want a Jason theory. Yeah, yeah. No, and I'm like that too. Cause it's like, I get it. It's yeah, I read so many books and it's like, I don't give a shit if I disagree. Cause that's been so many books I've read where I disagree with the majority of it even, but I still learn a couple nuggets that are really valuable. So yeah, I'm cool reading it that way. And R says, what do you think of carnivore diet? I think it's ridiculous. I can't even, I just don't even want to, it's so ridiculous to me. I don't even know why I even have to talk about it. It's just, I don't know. Like, it's just weird to me. Like, you're not a carnivore. It's just weird. It makes me nervous. But hey, teach their own. Are they not a brainwash for money? Absolutely. Yeah, the Vogue diet from 1970 is what opened my eyes to diets as fads. That's great. Yeah. Again, the more you can get away from diet mentality, the better chance you have of mastering your weight. And again, dieting at this point, dieting is a psychological operation. Dieting is not there to help you. All the diets, the big diets you reference are all owned by food companies that sell you shitty foods and diet books and diet plans. Weight Watchers was owned by Heinz. Jenny Craig was owned by Nestle. Atkins Food Products was owned by Auntie Anne's Pretzels and Cinnabon. Slim Fast was owned by the same company as Ben & Jerry's ice cream. So, you know, what they're sheep's and wolves clothing. They're wolves in sheep's clothing, and they've been filling your head up with shitty ideas your whole life. This is why you're struggling to lose weight, because you have shitty ideas in your head, not because you don't have willpower and self-control and all that. That's part of the diet mentality too. You always blame yourself, right? You're the fault. You're the reason. Not the fact that 95% of the people lose weight on a diet put it back on, right? It's not the plan that fails 95% of the time. No way. It's you. That's what they teach you. And so again, it's just another form of control to make you feel like shit, keep you overweight, keep you unhealthy, keep you unhappy. So it's just, it's all of it. White wine and hard-boiled egg for breakfast. Sounds good. I didn't know about Joan Brumberg. I might get that book. Yeah, it looks good. I have no idea about it. I just saw it referenced in the book. That's kind of how I find a lot of my books is I'll just read books that are referenced in the books I'm reading. And so I have no idea if it's good or bad or whatever, but pretty much anything that just expands my frame of thinking is usually pretty good. So I'm expecting that here. So I love to read too. Have an open mind is so important. Keep learning. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. This was awesome. I appreciate all the comments and the suggestions. I'm going to check out that book. Let's see how that goes. Melissa says, do you recommend vegetarian or pescatarian? I do. I mean, but I'm a vegetarian, so I'm biased. Okay. So I recognize my biases. I don't have a problem with meat eating. I think eating meat in the way it's done traditionally, where it's very little, I have no problems with. But I do think I think for me anyways, I only speak for myself, the ideal, and I used to be a huge meat eater, by the way. Just want to make that clear. I was raised first 25 years of my life. I ate meat every single day, multiple times. So I was a huge meat eater. It's a huge part of my personality and identity. But I just felt when I learned about vegetarian, it just resonated with me. So I think a lot of people try and be vegetarian. I didn't have to try that. It just naturally was who I was. It was very natural for me. So that being said, for me, it was always easy and natural. So I wouldn't say whatever, but I do think regardless of whether you want to eat, I think that it's the wrong frame though. I don't think being vegetarian, pescatarian, meat eater, I think that's the wrong frame, because I think what is going to benefit every single person on planet Earth is having a plant-based diet. We've evolved millions of years on Earth eating a plant-based diet, all of us. There's no question about that. So I think that plants having a high degree, the number one thing stripped of our diets is fiber. The number one thing that will make you feel more satisfied and full is fiber, not protein. It's fiber. Fiber in your gut activates the ileal brake. It increases GLP-1 hormone. You start to satisfy your micronutrient needs at a very high level. And I believe that the more plant-based food you put in your body, the easier time you'll have with your weight. They've studied this. They've put diets up against, they've given people diets to follow versus people that they said you just can eat plant-based foods, whatever you want, as much as you want. And naturally they consume 500 less calories a day because plant-based foods have a lower calorie density and they cause more satiety in you. They're more satisfying. That's what the GLP-1 fucking drugs do. That's why people lose weight on them. So I think having a plant-based diet, that is my number one suggestion to you all. And anyone that would argue with that to me is a fucking idiot. And just so you know, doctors don't know shit about nutrition. Just so you know, if they have a personal interest in it and they study it, then they have a capacity to understand it more. But most doctors get almost zero nutritional training in their medical careers. So I have seen doctors argue for carnivore diets because they're fucking idiots when it comes to nutrition. And this doctor that I saw, and I know a lot of them parrot the same bullshit. Now, doctors are some of the biggest hypnotists in our society. So when a doctor says something, you listen because they have an air and a halo effect around them of knowledge. This doctor goes, I remember reading a nutrition class where they said plants have all sorts of these chemicals in them, these poisons in them and in our bodies. So we should avoid them. Well, it's those chemicals that cause our body to actually get stronger. They will tell you don't eat beans because of the lectins. The lectins get cooked out. So, again, I have not seen any good science from a fucking doctor even. When you see a doctor touting carnivore, what they're usually touting is the health improvements of someone who is drastically overweight and unhealthy with their diet. And they talk about the health improvements over the first few months, which will happen anytime someone loses weight when they're in a very sickly state. So again, I see through the bullshit, and I don't think I have not seen one rational, compelling argument to eat only meat. I think but it's just a sign of the times. And there's a lot of money behind me, and there's an influence. Influencers I get shit every day. Every single day I get offers and opportunities to promote protein-based products, to promote supplements, to promote new bullshit stuff, to have people on the podcast that are going to promote bullshit stuff. Every single day I get multiple offers every day, and I fuck that because I want to be the one place where I don't give a fuck. Yeah, I know. Do you think I don't know how to play the podcast game? I already did this shit. Anyways, I could interview all the big people and just start co-opting. What? And then put their fucking dumb message in my frame? No way. I'm not doing that. It makes me crazy because the whole industry's fucking bullshit. It's all bullshit. It's all run by money because I could tap into that in 1 second and just open up the floodgates of money. I could sell you shit every single day. Now, listen, I sell my program. I got my program. I'm pretending I don't. It's not even for most of you. So it's like, I'm not even trying to sell it to you. But you don't think I could I could just make a ton of money selling supplements because they've got it down. You know what they got now? Genetically specific supplements for you. So you take a genetic test and then they give you this bullshit supplement formula that's genetically specified for you. All bullshit. GLP-1 related medicines. You don't think I could make a ton of money on that? That's what all the weight loss people are doing. They're co-opting the GLP-1s because what they're saying and doing doesn't fucking work. And so now what they're doing is they're trying to wrap themselves around the GLP-1. I mean, fuck, that's what Weight Watchers doing, Noom's doing. And again, I got nothing against the GLP-1s. I have people in my program that use them. So I have no problem with that. But what we're doing, my program fucking works though on its own. You don't need GLP-1s. Those programs don't work. So they have to co-opt GLP-1s because they're going to be left in the dust. GLP-1s, that's going to run its course and it's going to be what it's going to be. Program Yourself Thin is always going to be what it's going to be. And it's going to look better and better and better each and every year that goes on. And so I know that. So I have no fear that oh shit, I better get on the GLP-1 train. I've got something that's superior to that. So I have no fucking doubt of what I'm doing. And I'm not going to co-op what I'm doing. And I'm not going to talk to a bunch of people that are just spouting bullshit because that's what the podcasters do. A big old circle jerk of people all just promoting things that have money behind them. It's all selling bullshit. Diet books, diet plans, supplements, diet products, protein powders, protein bars, bullshit, fucking bullshit, fucking bullshit. None of it works. If you listen to hours and hours and hours of podcasts a week and you haven't lost any weight, And that's most people. Been dieting for decades, never ending information going in your head. You're just fucking confused. You don't know what to do. The best thing you can do, I obsessively don't listen to weight loss stuff online. It's toxic. Yeah, Dr. Gundry. He's another one. He's a fucking idiot. He's one out there. And you know what the worst part is now is that it's all about clickbait. So Dr. Gundry was out there recently, last year anyways, talking about how smoking's actually healthy. And it's like, okay, what's he saying? You know? And it's like, that's what a lot of it is that it grabs your attention. I joke around sometimes and I put into like AI, I'm like, give me 10 super clickbaity titles for a podcast, you know? It makes me laugh, but it's like, it makes me laugh because that's all it is out there. It's all bullshit. But what they're doing is they're always selling a thing. They're always selling a subscription to a product. And it's the easiest money to make in this industry. I will let you know. I could literally triple my revenue just doing that. But won't do it. I'm not going to do it because this to me is a mission and it's meaningful. So I'm not going to make decisions based on that. I won't do it. I literally won't be able to sleep at night. But I say this to you so that you can wake the fuck up and start to realize that almost all of the podcasts you're listening to about weight and health, almost all of the books, almost all the supplements are bullshit. And almost all the books and the fucking experts are bullshit because they're just selling this bullshit. That's what I mean. Like, it's just a big old circle jerk of bullshit. I don't know how to put it. I wish I could be more articulate to describe it, but that's what I see. Because here we are. We've never had more weight loss health information in the history of the planet, and 75% of the population is overweight or obese. So how do we explain that? You know, again, if you look at yourself, you probably have no idea how to lose weight. You know as little about how to lose weight now as you did before you started your first diet. And I think that's evidence of just nonstop shitty information coming at us. So Kelly said, I'm in the middle of Women, Food, and God by Janine Roth. No, I have not heard of that. That sounds pretty cool. Yeah, it is really fast. I don't know. Like it's a different frame and I love it because it helps me. Like I said, I'm obsessed with cultural engineering and influence because that's how you make people in giant ways become overweight and obese. If you ever look at the numbers of the increase of it, I was wondering, I forgot I got the old iPad here. It's not working yet, but let's look on there. Maybe I'll show that. Let me see. Let's get reflections, but actually, I always want to show the whoops. Yeah, skip this for now. But I always want to show you the increase in obesity rates. It's mind blowing. Yeah, the electrolyte and athletic green ads, the super gummy vitamin ads try to tell us we need their crap. Yep. Yeah, make people afraid, then make them believe you have the answer for the sale. Yeah, absolutely. It's just true, you know? So again, I don't mean to sound so negative, but it's the peek behind the curtain of this industry. It's not there to help you. It's there to profit off of you. And yeah. It says, I need to stay focused and watch my food choices. What do you suggest? Again, I mean, just in a very simplistic, the most simplistic ways, less processed food stuff, less junk food stuff, less fast food stuff, and more whole natural foods. That's kind of the simple take on it. You know? So Mandy? Mandy says, your program is great. Well, thank you, Mandy. I appreciate you saying that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, exactly. People lose respect for you because they love how real you are. And again, and that's why I would not do it. I would never do it because it would just kill me inside. I literally I could not get out here and just promote bullshit. Because I'd be feeling I'd be letting people down. I can't even imagine. I would never do that. So yeah. Thanks for not trying to sell me green powder. And again, I don't want to say like maybe someday I'd come up with some sort of amazing, but I mean, to be honest, I mean, the way I think now, I can change. I'll be, I'm open to new stuff. But to me, it's like, I don't want supplements. I want actual real whole ingredients. So keep your supplements and give me the fruits and vegetables. I'll take that. So that's my message. So I'm not saying I would never, I don't really use it. I use like a Vitamix, but I don't really even juice anymore or blend anymore. But Vitamix was amazing. I use it though. So again, like I said, it's never ending opportunities for me to brand stuff, to sell supplements is the big one. And it's such a, I don't know. They're so good at selling shit. That's the crazy part, you know? That's the weird part. So it's like, I don't blame people for doing it because, people trying to make a living and all the rest of it, but it's a slippery slope, you know what I mean? From doing that to all of a sudden you start selling something so you can make a lot of money off of it. And it becomes kind of confirmation bias. You start to like, oh yeah, I can see, you want to believe it. You know what I mean? Like you want to believe protein's really important because then you can say, oh, I use this. I'm at 130 grams of protein a day. I do it. You should do it too. And this is the best protein powder I've seen. You know what I mean? Like, oh, and so I think part of it, you buy into it because it's literally, it's on high, the protein thing, for example. And you say, oh, maybe, and you start doing it. But then there's always I could sell it. And now you feel good about it. I use it. I buy into this. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. It's a sneaky process. The next thing you know, you're not getting any honest information. He said, "Living to go off on Dave Goggins. Never heard him before listening to you." Yeah, David Goggins is big out there. Again, I'm not knocking it. I like there's people for everyone, but I just think that that point of view is just overrepresented, and a more balanced, nuanced approach is underrepresented. He's a 203. You're amazing, Jim. Your advice is the best I ever heard. Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. Hey, from Jordan. That's cool. How's it going, Jordan? All right, everyone. Let me get out of here. Thank you so much, everyone. Again, if you like this here, I'm here live every day, Monday through Friday, usually around noon Eastern. So if you have any questions, pop on here. Let me help you out. I'm happy to do it. And this is also a podcast. So if you miss it and you want to listen to it, it's Program Yourself Thin. It's on all the podcast platforms and you can go check it out. And if you're not in my world yet, go click the link in my bio or go to Program Yourself Thin and get the free hypnosis session and watch the video I made for you. It'll help kind of clarify everything I'm talking about here in a more accessible, useful way. And who knows, might just help you master your weight. So, all right, everyone, have a super duper day and we'll talk soon. Bye.